Welcome back, everyone, and now we're going to get into some NFL action for this past week. Week 7 it was, as I felt it was not the best week. I had a hard time picking out these things that we do for a review, kind of. I'm kind of clutching at straws here, as it were, for some of these, I would have to say. A couple weird games, I'll just leave it at weird games, I guess. But anyway,
Right.
Biggest upset, the Eagles over the Vikings is the closest thing I have to an upset. It's not a huge upset, but the fact that the Vikings were undefeated and the Eagles coming off of a couple losses. Big win.
I agree with you on that.
Big win for Philadelphia. Now they have a big game this week as they go to Dallas. So
Sunday Night Football.
Sunday Night Football. So biggest upset for you, Luke, was that the same?
Yeah,
That was
just exactly
Alright.
what you said, because Minnesota was undefeated.
All right. Best game for me. I didn't exactly watch it per se, but Seahawks tying with the Cardinals.
I did. It was awful.
Very, very defensive game. No offense really. Poor overtime period, I guess I should say, is the big thing that's the problem. But it's a tie. It's a good game, exciting game, you could say. But yeah, those field goals were awful by both kickers on both sides of the ball. Also, more of a regular game that was kind of exciting. Lions over the Redskins. It had a late game heroics by Matt Stafford again. So the Lions picking up a big win there. So those are my
What's
two
he,
games.
the first quarterback to throw for amount of yards?
I don't know. I didn't
by
look
like
into
the
it.
age of whatever in the first how many seasons of his career, something like that. I thought the best game was the Chargers at Falcons.
That was also a good game.
I
I will say that.
But in the Seahawks Cardinals game, it was all right. I mean, it wasn't terrible. I mean, it was at the end, as you said. It was a first tie in Seahawks history. First tie without a touchdown since 1972. The Cardinals at the Eagles. Also ended by a score of 6-6. And there have been 3 6-6 ties in the NFL since the merger, which was 1970, and all 3 games have involved the Cardinals. 1970 at Kansas City, 1972 at Philadelphia, and then this past Sunday at home versus Seattle. And then some ties in recent years, probably the past 15 years in the NFL, include games that we remember watching. 2002, the Falcons at the Steelers, 34-all. 2008, the Eagles at the Bengals, 13-all. 2012, the Rams at the 49ers, 24-all. 2013, the Vikings at the Panthers, 26-all. 2014, the Panthers at the Bengals, 37-37. And then this past Sunday, in 2016, Seahawks and Cardinals 6-6. And then the Panthers and the Bengals are on that list twice. So they might want to, I know Marvin Lewis has been in Cincinnati for a while, but and then John Fox was in Carolina before Ron Rivera, but those teams, how do you tie? And then the NFL's rolling on ties is just awful. You need to have it like college, and you play until somebody wins.
I think you do need that, but I think you're going to see ties more now, more than ever. I think in years to come with the new rules and the overtime, where if you kick a field goal, the other team can still kick a field goal and tie the game with their possession. Because then,
as the first
yes,
score in overtime.
of course. But
if you score a touchdown first, you win.
Because then you have these there could be a long drive that ends in a field goal in the first drive, and then another long drive that field goal, and then you're at a stalemate again. And then you have only a limited amount of time left before the full quarter that they play for an overtime period is done. So, I mean, that's kind of stupid. I will say something about one of those games that you brought up, the Falcons Steelers 2002 tie. It blew my mind when that happened.
I remember watching that.
I remember watching it too.
Clear,
I mean,
clear as day.
Only 6-7 years old, and just blew my mind as a young football fan. What, this can happen? I didn't know that. It was a ridiculous game. I mean. But still.
I'm actually going to go home, find that game on YouTube, and watch it.
Are you?
Yeah.
All right. So.
And I'll send you the link.
All right.
I find it.
I may or may not watch it.
You will watch it. I know you will.
I don't know about that. We'll have to see, But either way, impressed this week. I put in the Raiders and the Dolphins. The Dolphins more so because of just simply Ajayi, however you say his
Jay
last name.
Ajayi
Jay Ajayi.
from Boise State.
200-yard games in back-to-back weeks. Fourth person to do that.
Yeah,
It was.
fourth person to do that. First since 2002, and Ricky Williams.
He'd be a member of the Dolphins.
Yes.
Still.
Yes,
Yeah.
so 2 Dolphins on that list. The other 2 were O.J. Simpson, Juice, yes, that O.J. Simpson. He did it twice
Yeah.
in back-to-back years in 1981 and 1982. He had, so at a total of 4 games, he had over 200 yards rushing. And then Earl Campbell did it as well in the early 1980s. And then, as I said, Ricky Williams in 2002 for the Miami Dolphins. And then, Jay Ajayi, the past 2 weeks.
A big reason why the Dolphins won these last couple games. They haven't been that good this entire season, but he's basically won them a couple games.
And now, he will be the number 1 back in Miami with Arian Foster retiring.
Yeah. Him kind of rising to prominence is probably a reason, kind of, why Arian Foster. A little bit. Not like the entire reason, obviously, but
Yeah.
it kind of maybe eases the transition, possibly, for Arian Foster to make that decision. Kind of made it easier.
And then they're on a bye week this week, too, so he didn't want to do it during a game week and then distract the team. And
Yeah, that makes sense.
because no one's going to be talking about it this time next week when they're getting ready for their next opponent.
It'll be brought up
because Miami's on a bye this week.
It'll probably be brought up whenever someone's previewing the game that they have next week, week 9.
Yeah,
probably, but it won't be like it won't be like a focal point of it. It'll
probably
be mentioned.
Us. We'll probably bring it up.
Like, it'll be mentioned, but it's not going to be like the big story is kind of thing. And the Raiders beating Jacksonville, I know it's not exactly an impressive win, but they, for lack, kind of blew them out. It was like 33-16 or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Score like that. Winning a game that they should win as a team that you and I both think is on the up and rising. You have them in the playoffs, for crying out loud, this season.
I have both teams in the playoffs.
You do. You have both teams in the playoffs.
And that's why
Jaguars not so much this season.
And that's why I picked Jacksonville last week over Oakland. I know I should have picked Oakland, but I needed Jacksonville to get a win. So they could possibly get in the playoff hunt here coming up. So
the Raiders are 5-2 now.
They're 5-2. First
looking
time
good
since 2001.
Looking good this season, as both of us pretty much expected. Me probably not to this the same degree as Luke. I mean, I've had him out of the playoffs, hovering around 500, but played really well this season. So big win last week against Jacksonville, a game that they should have won, and they did in convincing fashion. So if they're going to be an elite team or a team that's going to contend in the playoffs and make the playoffs, need to win games like that in that type of fashion. So it's a step in the right direction for Oakland.
Yeah, I agree with you on
that. Do you have any?
Not really.
You don't? No one stood out to you this week?
No.
And all I have for disappointed is just the Vikings because they're no longer undefeated. So.
Well, I had Landry Jones because he absolutely sucks. They did have a chance to win that game.
He didn't play terrible.
He didn't, but he still sucks. And then the Seahawks Cardinals game, and then
the game as a whole. Yeah, it's disappointing as a game ends in a tie, especially in that fashion. Both kickers missed easy field goals that more often than not. I mean, I think it was Cannon-Zara for the Cardinals said, or one of them was like 9,999 times out of 10,000 I'm making that field goal, but he missed. So anything can happen. Sometimes it comes down to kickers. You have to have a clutch kicker. I mean, you got to make those. I mean, luckily it was early in the season. Oh, the tie could actually help the team like this. Later on, we've seen it. It was the reason the Carolina Panthers won the NFC South a couple years ago at 7-8-1 because of that tie. And breaking news here for the WWE: the Cruiserweights will have a 6-man tag team match on the Hell in a Cell kickoff show. So
so I figured we could.
And who would be in that? Swan Alexander and Metalik or something? Versus
Well, I'll look it up here.
You look it up.
While we're still talking about the NFL.
Well, if it's a kickoff show match, then we don't need to worry about that.
We don't need to worry about it. All right, I figured I'd at least show you.
Yeah, I think.
So you weren't wondering what the hell it was come Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be. I mean, they could throw anything in there, but yeah, that'd be an interesting match. That'd be a nice match to kind of get the fans get into it. Hopefully, as an aside, but I was the one talking about this, right? What was I talking about exactly?
Well, we were talking about Sunday night game and
the Sunday night game, the Kickers, yeah, but I think I was pretty much done with my point, I think. So I think we'll move on to Week 8 now. Halfway through the season now after this week. Both of us went 5-4-1 last week. We're going to count the Seahawks-Cardinals game as a tie for our records as well, because if I remember correctly, we both picked the Seahawks. So we're going to count it as a 1 in the tie column. So, I mean, we didn't get it wrong when we didn't get it right, so I mean, it's a tie, so it only makes sense. So 5-4-1 last week. We're both at, what is it, 30-something, and I don't even...
We're 35-27-1 on the year.
35-27-1 on the year. So keeping pace with each other. I mean, no one's been able to get ahead here lately.
No.
All right. 6 teams on bye this week. First time this year, we've had more than like 2 teams, it seems like. There's been 1 week. I think it was week 5. There's 4 teams. But 6 teams on bye this week. Got the LA Rams, the Miami Dolphins, New York Giants, the Steelers are on the bye, and the 49ers and the Ravens. So the Steelers and Ravens are both on the bye this week, and then they play each other next week, week 9. So that's kind of an interesting thing right there.
Mm-hmm.
So this week's Thursday night game, I mean, last year this would have been a stinker. This year it's going to be a pretty good game. Jaguars take on the Titans. Jaguars and Titans. Jaguars haven't lived up to the potential I don't think that they have this season. Titans have looked pretty good this season at points. They lost last week to the Colts in kind of a shootout-y type game, 34-26. But they looked good pretty much all season for the most part, contending in most, if not all, games that they've played. So I'm going to take the Titans at home in this one. DeMarco Murray, he's been kind of been rejuvenated a little bit down there in Tennessee. So
it's that offensive line.
That offensive line, he's got something to run behind. It's working. Mariota's getting the job done, I guess you could say. I mean, those are the 2 guys for the most part. They don't have anyone like too eye-popping in their wideout core, I don't think. That's like a big reason why or anything. They don't have like a superstar wide receiver or anything. It's just Mariota and Murray getting it done. They're playing solid football. I mean, I'm going to take the Titans. I mean, over the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, I'm going to take Jacksonville because
I figured as much.
I think their offense is just a tad bit better. I mean, Murray has been tearing it up lately, but I need Jacksonville to win too. So
and that's why I thought you would pick them.
Yeah, so I'm going to take Jacksonville over Tennessee.
That's the thing, though. You know,
I think this game. I think this game is going to be a crapshoot. To be honest with you,
maybe it's probably going to be good. Maybe not the best looking football ever, but it will be a close, good game probably. Though that's mostly what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Jacksonville is a prime example of something looking good on paper, but not really working out. During the preview and stuff, we mentioned it so many times. Look at the offense that they got now. You know, with Hurns and Robinson and Bortles and 2 running backs. Although Yeldon's taken over for Ivory, period. And Ivory hasn't done crap this season.
Yeah, they wasted money on him.
Both running backs even haven't been doing much at all. Their running game's been pretty stagnant, I would say. Not doing too much in pretty much any game. I think they beat the Colts in London a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeldon had a pretty decent game. The Bortles was a big reason why they won that game. But just like the Jets this season, which I know you're kind of getting happy about a little bit right now.
It's on the verge.
You're on the verge. You're close to getting.
It might happen here in a couple weeks.
Who knows? You know, but we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But next game. Got a second straight week here. We're going to be in London for the NFL at 9:30 in the morning.
Thank God this is the last London game of the year, too.
It is, as the Redskins take on the Bengals in London. I wasn't sure where to go with this game. Both teams are pretty solid. I mean, I don't know. The Redskins are a team that aren't getting a lot of coverage, but they seem to be winning games. They're like 4-3 or something like that. I didn't even know that, really. Bengals aren't the team they were last year, as I predicted. They're 3-4 in the season, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I got the Bengals in this one. I mean, it's a London game. Anything can happen. I don't even know. This game.
Yeah, home field doesn't mean anything here.
Home field doesn't mean crap in this game because it's technically like a neutral site, basically.
It is.
So, Bengals slight edge over the Redskins. It's hard for me to tell this game though.
All right, I'm gonna take Washington. Jay Gruden, head coach of the Redskins, former offensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. Since he has left, their offense really hasn't been the same. AJ Green's still tearing it up though, getting some passes from getting some nice passes from Andy Dalton, but I'm a Steeler fan. I can't pick the Bengals, so Redskins.
All right. You got the Chiefs taking on the Colts, and this one I'm going to lean towards the Chiefs in this one. It may or may not be a close game. The Colts are an enigma of a team. They seem to play in always close games, mostly because their offense is so good. Maybe not their offense isn't necessarily so good. It's more so Andrew Luck's so good that he makes the offense look good, versus the fact that their defense is crap. So it all depends. I think the defining factor will be, I think the pass rush of Kansas City is going to get it at Andrew Luck, because big problem with the Colts is the offensive line, obviously, which is a big reason why they keep picking offensive linemen year in and year out, because they haven't been able to run the ball for years now. So
it's true.
You got to protect your quarterback, and I think they're going to have a hard time doing that this week, and that's a big reason why I think the Chiefs are going to end up winning this game.
All right, Indianapolis is playing at home in the Dome, Lucas Oil Stadium, formerly known as the RCA Dome, but that got tore down. Adam Vinatieri broke the NFL record for most consecutive field goals last week with 43, breaking Mike Vanderjagt's record, former Colt and Dallas Cowboy, his record. So Indy's playing at home. I think it's going to come down to the kicking game. Cairo Santos is also a good kicker for the Chiefs. But right now I'm going to pick the Colts. If Dante Moncrief plays, he's questionable right now. If he plays, the Colts win. If he doesn't, the Chiefs win.
All right.
But I'm going to pick the Colts.
All right. This is a game this next game, definitely low-key really good game.
It is.
Raiders versus Bucks. I already talked about the Raiders, how they're doing really well. They're sitting at the top of the
AFC West, yeah.
Tied with the Broncos, are they not? The Broncos have 2 losses, correct? I'm trying to think of the other loss, because I know they lost to San Diego. Did those to another team? I don't know.
I can't think of.
Maybe not. Maybe the Broncos are...
Well, maybe I think they were tied going into Monday night, and then Denver won. I think that's might what it would be. Anyways, AFC West is going to come down to the final weeks of the season, because you look at Kansas City and San Diego.
Kansas City's forward, too. They're right there as well.
And San Diego could be undefeated right now. They could be, 0-7. They could be 3-4 where they're at. They could be 4-3 or anywhere in between. They have their close losses, so...
But the other team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're a team they're right there at the top of the NFC South, because
they
the Falcons
because
lost
the South sucks.
And they've beaten the Panthers already this season. They have a division win, obviously. They're looking pretty good. They looked pretty good last week in their win against I don't remember who it was.
Who, Tampa?
Tampa. They crushed some team. I forget who it was. I can't remember for the life of me. I know Winston had a big game. So did Mike Evans. He had a couple touchdowns.
Hold that thought real quick, Corey.
All right, hold that thought. I'm going to pick the game while you do that.
Okay.
I have the Raiders down. This is another game where I could change this pick. I might change this pick to the Buccaneers because of the way they played last week and the way they have played. Jacquizz Rodgers coming in for Charles Sims and Doug Martin has been playing so great for the Buccaneers. He had over 100 yards last week on the ground. He has a passing option out of the backfield for Winston as well. Winston, he's getting looking pretty good this week, or not last week. I guess I should say it was last week. He looked really good. He's getting better this season. Played pretty well last season as well, I guess. But I'm going to change my pick. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers at home in this one. I think the Raiders are going to have a fault here. They're going to falter here in this game, and the Buccaneers are just going to play a pretty good game here and end up getting a win.
All right. Tampa beat San Francisco last week, too, by the way.
Oh, that's right. I wanted to say San Francisco, but I didn't think.
Oakland is still on the East Coast. They didn't go back to the West Coast. So Oakland, they played at Jacksonville last week, and they're playing at Tampa this week. So they just decided to stay in Florida, enjoy the nice weather that they always get out in California anyway. But I think Oakland's going to win because they're going to be used to staying in the Eastern time zone there for a week and a half. So Oakland, they're 5-2 right now. This game is also a rematch of Super Bowl 37. in which Tampa Bay won. The story was, and it's true, John Gruden was the head coach of the Raiders, and they let him go. Well, they traded him to Tampa. And then Tampa beat Oakland in the Super Bowl the following season. So Al Davis was probably a little mad that he did that, but oh well. Because he could have had a Super Bowl for the first time in, how long since John Madden won one. So Oakland, they're looking good right now. Best they've been since they were in the playoffs last time, and that was Super Bowl 37. They haven't been in the playoffs since. So,
All right.
Oakland over Tampa.
Okay. Next game, Seahawks playing the Saints in the Superdome this time. Seems like every time these teams played in recent years, it's always been in Seattle.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes it a little bit more interesting.
I remember the Marshawn Lynch run.
Yeah, that's kind of when it got started. They've had the Saints number for the last couple of years, though. Early game this week. It seems like they play in prime time if they do. That's kind of just another aside. But Seahawks are 4-1-1. It is 4-1-1. Saints coming off the loss last week to the Chiefs. I'm picking the Seahawks.
A tie is better than a loss, though.
It is.
So I'd take
Definitely.
a tie any day of the week over a loss.
Yes, I'm gonna as a pretty much a theme here. I'm taking the Seahawks over the Saints.
I don't know how
The
you
defense
pick
of the
against
Seattle
your team.
Seahawks is going to slow down Breeze, I think. They played really good last week, holding David Johnson and Carson Palmer down to just, technically 3 points in regulation, 3 in overtime, 6 overall.
Yeah.
But a high-powered offense in Arizona, they held them to just 6. I think they might be able to do that to New Orleans. Maybe not. Who knows? Saints could definitely win this game, though. At home, it's definitely where they play best in the Superdome, so it could go either way, but Seahawks have had their number as of late, and I'm going to keep it going. Russell Wilson will, I think, have a pretty good day against the Saints defense.
That's all true. I still don't know how you pick against your own team that you like, but I have to agree with you. I think Seattle's going to beat New Orleans come Sunday, especially coming off a tie. Pete Carroll will have them ready, and New Orleans tough place to play. Superdome's tough place to play. So, but I think Seattle's going to be. I think Seattle's going to make that one key play that New Orleans is not going to be able to stop, and Seattle's going to get out of there with a win.
All right. This is a game that has a different look to it than it did early in the season because it's a divisional matchup. Patriots taking on the Bills. Of course, the first time these teams played, the Bills beat them 16-0. But of course, Tom Brady wasn't. He was still suspended at the time, so he didn't play in this game. He's back now, and they're going to travel to Buffalo, and I think the Patriots are going to win this game. Brady's going to play, obviously. He's going to do his thing. They haven't lost yet since he came back.
No, and he's playing better than a lot of guys that have played the whole season.
So,
And he's only played how many games since he's been back? 3?
yeah, three it's been.
This will be 4.
This will be...
Yeah,
maybe.
this will be 4.
fourth, yeah. Or I thought they had a bye week in between there.
No,
No.
because they had a bye week right before he came back, and then they played 3 AFC North teams. Excuse me. Remember they played the Browns.
Oh yes, they played the Browns,
Bengals, and then
yeah.
they played the Steelers.
All right. Yeah, no, I remember.
So this will be the 4th game.
I was forgetting that Bengals one in between there. So yeah, but I'm going to take the Patriots in this one to get their revenge here. That's all I really have to say about that,
All right.
I guess.
Well, no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills, as Chris Berman loves to say, and I think they'll circle them again and beat New England for the second time this year.
Maybe they
I
did.
think Buffalo's going to beat New England home.
They had a pretty bad
That
loss
crowd-
last week, though.
That crowd is something else, let me tell you. And especially with New England coming in and Brady with everything he's been through, with the suspension, they're gonna be fired up. Bills Mafia, yeah,
All right.
you're gonna beat the Patriots.
Okay. Game of the week.
If not, I'll come up to Buffalo. You can choke slam me through a table while tailgating.
All right. Game of the week this week. That isn't a primetime game, of course. Packers taking on the Falcons in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with the Packers in this one, mostly because of the defense of Atlanta, the secondary specifically. I think Aaron Rodgers will be able to kind of tear them up a little bit. I know they have a little bit of a problem with the running back situation in Green Bay right now. Niall Davis is going to start getting into the system a little bit better. He didn't play it at all last week because he just got there literally like the day before they had to play, so he couldn't do anything. So they had Ty Montgomery, a wide receiver, playing running back. But he still looked good as a running back. He had like 60-some yards on the ground, plus another 60 or so through the air himself. So he's actually looking pretty good as the running back option, the pass catching.
Good fantasy pickup if you don't have him already.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it's going to end up being maybe a shootout, possibly. Definitely can see that happening. Both high-powered offenses, especially the Falcons this season. But Falcons kind of starting their decline like they did last season. They've lost a couple straight now after starting 4-1.
Lost 2 in a row. Seattle and San Diego.
San Diego, both close losses late in the game.
It's true.
Well, technically they lost the last week because of a missed field goal in overtime.
The week before was
the other week before was Hauschka made a game winner late.
Well, then they had that no call on a possible pass interference.
Yeah,
by Richard Sherman. So
yes.
But
still, I'm gonna take the Packers mostly because I think Aaron Rodgers can have a huge day and lead them to victory.
I think so too. And speaking of Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, his predecessor, this is a battle of his former 2 teams, 2 of his 4 former teams. And
his first 2 teams.
Yeah, Atlanta drafted him and then traded him to Green Bay, and then he was great in Green Bay. So with that, I'm gonna say go Pack Go. I agree with you. I think Rodgers will have a big game. First away game for Green Bay since last month. They remember I said they had like 5 or 6 home games there in a row until the end of October, and here we are at the end of October already. So. I think they win again for the second straight week. I think they're on a revenge trip, after losing to Dallas 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, Green Bay over Atlanta.
All right.
Atlanta goes to 4-3, and that NFC South gets more interesting because if things go as planned. We both have the Seahawks. Both teams lose again, and then who's Carolina play?
Cardinals.
Arizona.
Well, they can't take over the lead anyway. They're 1-6.
Yeah, they're 1-6, and then you got
3-4.
Tampa Bay. So
Tampa Bay could be the division leader.
They could.
This week.
They could be. Tampa could be in the
playoffs.
playoffs.
Tie at the 500, which is nothing impressive, but still, just the fact that they'd be in the top is impressive. You spoke of the Cowboys. They play Sunday night against division rival the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep.
And I got the Cowboys in this one.
I do as well.
They are a team that is primed with this lineup that they have with Prescott as the quarterback to make the playoffs, and I think contend in the playoffs the way they are playing, because the way they run the ball with Ezekiel Elliott and the way that Prescott manages the game throwing the ball, he doesn't make any stupid mistakes like a Mr. Tony Romo does. They control the pace of the game. They have the time of possession battle. They win it like every week because they're running the ball constantly.
Yeah.
They control the pace of the game. They control the entire game. And they don't have to rely. They have to rely on big plays from their quarterback as a rookie. Obviously, it helps having Ezekiel Elliott being such a dominant force running the ball. But of course, it's the line. We all know that. So the way that they control the game is something I love, and I think that's the reason why they're going to not only win this game but be a contender down the line.
Yeah, both these teams could be in the playoffs. One is the NFC East winner, and then maybe the other is a wild card.
The Eagles keep it up.
This is
both
teams.
Even
first matchup of the season between these two teams. They'll play again later on down the line. Probably the best matchup to see rookies play all year so far. If you ask me, because you got Carson Wentz, Dak Prescott, and then Ezekiel Elliott. So. As I said, I'm going to take the Cowboys as well. It's going to be a good game.
All right. Monday Night Football.
It's on Sunday night, Game 5 of the World Series in Chicago. If, the Cubs went out from here on out, Game 5, it's going to be hard to decide what to watch. Give up football for a little bit to see the Cubs make history, or, just watch a football game. We'll have to see.
Monday night is a game I think we're both in agreement on, and
Yeah,
for obvious
because
reasons,
one
because
team is good and the other team just flat out sucks.
Vikings go to the Windy City, play the Bears,
Yeah.
and we're picking the Vikings, aren't
Yeah,
we?
that's all I need to say about that.
That's all I need to say about that too. Jay Cutler's come back in the lap.
Well, that too. That's
That's another. That's
Yeah.
just another reason to say
Hopefully
no.
he gets hurt
Again.
Hopefully he gets hurt because then they'll be screwed.
they already are screwed. It's not.
Well,
looking
they'll be screwed
They're looking like
times 10 times 10 times 10 up to 100 times. So
my prediction for them this season's looking all right,
yeah, you did say they're gonna be bad.
but not fully because I said they'd be like the worst team in the league. That's clearly the Browns right now,
Mm-hmm.
who have yet to win a game.
And they
right now.
probably won't win a game.
We'll
have to
hell, they
see.
might not. I don't know. All right. Now we're going to some wrestling, and WWE is back on our show this week. Last week I took a week off because
There
length
wasn't
between the
really anything to
pay-per-views-
talk about.
because of the length between the pay-per-views, between No Mercy and this one. Couldn't really do it last week because we were like a whole week out before the pay-per-view. Actually, 2 weeks technically. So we couldn't do any predictions, which is what we're going to do today for Hell in a Cell, which is Raw's. Is it second or third? Second pay-per-view or third pay-per-view?
Second. Because they
pay-per-view.
had
It was Night of Champions.
United Clash Champions.
Clash of Champions.
Gotta get it right, Corey. I almost said Night Champions too.
But yeah.
But we gotta get it right.
You could say this is Clash of Champions anyway, because there's only 6 matches on the card, the main card at least, and 5 of them are title matches. So
Yeah.
it's basically Clash of Champions again, with just another match thrown in. So you already said about the cruiserweight match that it's gonna be a 6-man tag match on kickoff show. We won't worry about that. I'll just do the 6 top matches the only matches I saw from the card when I looked it up. So we have Enzo and Cass taking on Gallows and Anderson, which will be one of the opening matches, I'm sure.
Probably the first match.
Probably. So I'm going to go Gallows and Anderson because I feel like they need the win. And they've lost on several pay-per-views now, and most because they're facing the New Day for the titles. And they need to rebuild themselves as a formidable tag team in the division. And a win over these guys, 2 guys that are totally hot with the crowd, big win for them, I think. So I think Gallows and Anderson need the win. So
I think they need to win as well, but I think Enzo and Cass are going to win
I mean,
because
I can see it too.
With heading into WrestleMania season coming up at the beginning of the year, there's supposedly huge plans for them to win the tag titles at WrestleMania. So
I mean, I can see him win.
I think they keep on putting them over. Yeah, it's obviously going to bury Gallows and Anderson, but it's how it works. It is what it is.
Yeah, but
So.
I will say about this. This is one of those matches where anything can happen. Anyone can win. This is one of those matches that's really hard to predict. You could say
Yeah.
it's like it can go either way. One of these like undercard matches that don't really have any true real large value to them. You know we've seen it from time to time. These type of matches. All right, T.J. Perkins takes on Brian Kendrick for the cruiserweight title rematch of Clash of Champions. In fact, pretty much
It's
all
the
of
Brian Kendrick Gordon.
pretty much all these matches except for one of these are rematches of Clash of Champions.
It is. It's true.
Yeah, so it's kind of a downside to this pay-per-view. It's pretty much all matches we've already seen.
Yep.
Matches, just stipulations added to the 3 of them. And they're all the same stipulations, so that's kind of a dumb thing in myself, if you ask me. But Perkins, Kendrick, I'm going to go TJ Perkins in this one. It's a tough one to call. Kendrick's desperate. I mean, in storyline I'm saying this. And he supposedly asked Perkins to give him the title, I guess. So I read. I don't know, I didn't watch Raw this week.
You didn't?
I did not. But if that's the case... the Flyers are wrong. But if that's the case...
Understandable.
Then maybe Kendrick will walk out as a champ. Maybe Perkins does something weird or there's a controversial finish. I would rather see him as the champion than Perkins.
Well, Perkins is competing in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic with...
Kota Ibushi.
Yes, because of...
Hideo Itami.
Hideo Itami is injured again, yeah.
Yes.
So maybe that has something to do with it. I doubt it, but...
Maybe. I would rather see him with the champ as the champ than Perkins. I like him better than Perkins as a whole. Plus, they seem to be possibly building Rich Swann up to be a contender. He beat Kendrick on Raw.
Yes, he did.
And he seemed to be pretty over with the fans, honestly, with his gimmick, that dancing gimmick. I don't know what to call it exactly. Fun-loving guy, I guess you would say. I don't know. how to exactly pinpoint it, but
I know what you're talking about.
if you building him as a champ or championship contender, then a heel champ makes it ideal. And Kendrick's clearly a heel. I mean, I feel like the Cruiserweight Classic can be something that, or not the Cruiserweight Classic, it's the Cruiserweight division itself can be something without heels or faces. It can just be just wrestling. Because
Yeah, and
I mean, it's kind of weird how they do like the handshakes at the beginning, like heels and faces. It's weird, to me.
I think that's what they're leaning towards, but it's hard to tell.
I mean, it is a wrestling show.
Because really, it just started.
Yeah.
With that all getting over and whatnot. So
yeah. But either way, who you got?
I'm just gonna take Perkins.
Yeah, take Perkins.
Because as you said, Rich Swann possibly a number one contender, and then maybe at Survivor Series they have a triple threat. Between the three of them. So right now, I mean, I'd like to see the Brian Kendrick win, but right now, I think they'll bury him again, and Perkins will win.
All right. Cesaro and Sheamus get their tag team title opportunity against the New Day here at Hell in a Cell. And I have the New Day, as much as I don't like this pick. Cesaro and Sheamus should not be the ones to dethrone them as the champions. And they won't. Their reign has gone on too long, though, for me.
It has, I agree.
And though
could end at Survivor Series.
Hopefully, because
maybe they're having maybe they have Gallows and Anderson win, and then they become the number one contenders, and then they win against the New Day at Survivor Series, and then Enzo and Cass are still sitting there, and then they beat. Maybe they break the New Day up then. Maybe Big E or somebody goes to SmackDown. I don't know. And then come WrestleMania time, Enzo and Cass versus the club for the tag team titles.
Who knows?
Possibly.
I mean, their reign has gone on so long that I wouldn't mind if Cesaro and Sheamus win. But another thing to keep in mind is that they did win the match on Monday.
Yeah,
so
they did,
the way that WWE works is like whoever gets on top before the pay-per-view loses.
Loses, exactly.
That always seems to happen.
Yep.
And especially a situation like also with the stipulations possibly at Survivor Series with people switching brands based on who wins these Survivor Series matches. Cesaro could be one of those guys that switches brands. So this team's going to be broken up anyway.
He better go to SmackDown.
And then this team's broken up. So
or Sheamus better go to SmackDown.
One of them. And then you can't have this tag team anyway, so they can't be the champs.
Yeah.
So if that's like where they're going towards, maybe then they can't in that sense. I will say that the rest of these next three matches, the final three matches, the triple win event they're calling it, are pretty predictable matches on a predictions basis, I will say. So we'll get right into it. You obviously have the New Day, right? I guess I didn't get your formal pick. You have the New Day, right?
Yes, yeah.
I didn't exactly ask you, but
yeah,
I can tell you're alluding to it. So Rusev taking on Roman.
It caught me off guard there for a second.
Sorry.
Because they won't. I agree with you. They won't. They're not going to do that, and then have them split up. Just doesn't make sense. But they could do it though at the same time.
Yeah.
And have them lose like on Raw or, at Survivor Series and then they compete again later in the night. So.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
All right.
Yeah. So New Day will retain.
Okay. As I said, these are going to be kind of predictable for me at least. I mean, I think they're obvious choices, but. Start with Rusev taking on Roman Reigns in a Hell in a Cell match for the U.S. title. All these are going to be Hell in a Cell matches, which I think is kind of dumb. But Roman Reigns is going to win.
But what if the cell breaks? Like in the first match? Like
the cell is going to break at times in one of these three. Someone's breaking through. Roman will probably spear him through the freaking cell, probably. But I'll keep it simple in saying that Reigns just won the title last month.
I know they have extra stuff in the back, so they'll be fine.
He just won the title. He'll probably keep it for a while. Rusev will be taken out of the picture for someone else. I don't know who could possibly contend for it. But whoever it is, it's not going to be any match for Reigns.
They're going to bring back MVP.
Yeah, right. It doesn't matter who it is. It's not going to be a match for Reigns, probably. It'd have to be a pretty big-name guy to actually take out Reigns for the U.S. title. At least it should be.
Goldberg.
Yeah, right. Like he's competing anywhere past Survivor Series, really. Or at least he shouldn't. He shouldn't even compete at Survivor Series, if you ask me.
And the match is Survivor Series between Brock.
It's going to be
awful.
It'll end up being like the main event, the last match.
It is. It's going to be the main event.
And it's going to be a stinker.
It is. It's
going
to be awful.
see it, just like the WrestleMania 21. Only that was for different reasons because both guys were leaving the company. They didn't give a shit. That was what happened in WrestleMania 20.
Mm-hmm.
Lesnar was going to the NFL and Goldberg's contract was up. So
yeah,
but who you got? You got Roman?
yeah. I'm gonna take Roman over Rusev. Lana's obviously gonna try to get involved, get in there somehow. Have we seen the Usos on SmackDown lately?
No.
Maybe they come to Raw and help Roman, and then they got like a little faction, and then you go, then you have like have them go up against the New Day maybe, and have like Big E go up against Roman then for the U.S. title, and then have Xavier and Kofi as the tag champs going up against the Usos.
That would be an interesting way to spin it. That would be interesting.
Because they've done that before. Look at the Shield.
Yeah. That's only how factions work, though,
Yeah.
of course.
So.
Next.
And then they bring in the whole family stuff.
Yeah.
You know, look at Raw 2 weeks ago. Mama and Papa Rusev.
Yeah.
You know, so. And then Roman says, you know, family doesn't mean anything to him. Like, it doesn't, you know, and I didn't talk about this past week, so maybe. Who knows?
All right.
Just because when was the last time the Usos were on SmackDown?
I don't know.
It's been a couple weeks.
I don't think it's been on since after No Mercy.
So, we'll see.
So,
yeah,
we will see.
Roman or Rusev.
All right, another match, probably predictable for me, for you, based on rumor reports. Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Universal title, inside Hell in a Cell. Kevin Owens is going to win this match. Because you read the rumors yourself. You've told me about them. I've seen them myself. KO, he's probably going to win on Sunday because he might drop the title to Lesnar at Royal Rumble. Is what's being said right now. So, as of right now, he obviously has to retain to lose at Royal Rumble probably. And Seth is due to fight Triple H pretty soon probably.
Yeah, Hunter probably comes out. Paul probably comes out
in this match and even
in this match
over again.
Yeah,
or Jericho's probably gonna be like hiding under the ring or something, and come out.
Dude, Kane.
Well, not like that.
Kane-esque.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, he's under the ring, and the cage lowers over the ring. No one can get in, and then he's just under the ring.
Yeah,
comes out and helps or hurts KO because they've been teasing that for a while now.
Well, maybe maybe. Yeah, but then maybe they do that. But then if they have Seth win,
well, I'm just saying. Jericho could turn on Owens.
They're gonna have to hold that.
I'm not saying so Rollins can win. Jericho turns on KO.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, they have Hunter come back, but then they still have Seth win. But then they can't have him versus him at the title. What I saw about that, they're going to have that match twice. They're going to have it at the Royal Rumble and at WrestleMania. So they could have Jericho turn, and then they could have Owens drop it, and then you have Jericho and Owens at Survivor Series. And then Jericho puts him over for good and leaves, because he's supposedly leaving.
Yeah.
And then you have Seth against who's on Raw that deserves a title shot.
I don't know.
I just came off the top of my head.
I have no idea.
Let's see. Let's look at the Raw roster real quick.
Rusev.
No.
Not Sammy. Can't be Cesaro and Sheamus. They're still a tag team. It'd be one of those guys. But as a face, Seth Rollins, that's the other problem. Good guy Seth Rollins. You have to find a bad guy for him. To make sense, at least story-wise. It could be just two good guys. But
or what if they have... well, no, because Lesnar's facing Goldberg.
Yeah, so... that's the big problem. You're not going to give us like Braun Strowman or something. No. Can't do that.
No. I'm trying to figure out who else is on Raw.
No one that's probably worthy of a main event spot, though, is the problem.
Let's see.
I think that's where it kind of boils down to.
Well,
There's
Balor's hurt.
obviously he was a face anyway, and he won't be back until after the Rumble or at the earliest.
Yeah, there's really no one else.
That would make sense for Seth Rollins to face at least,
Yeah.
because there's no main event quality guys there, you know.
Who knows? I mean, I just thought about that though, so that's why I was trying to figure out what to say. Yeah, I could see Jericho turning. And then they have that, but then they don't have anybody for Seth.
And then that becomes a problem.
That's the thing.
Well,
No,
Hunter can still come out if that happens and
Huh?
still help Kevin Owens win, even if Jericho does that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that if Jericho turns, it's going to be automatic Seth Rollins wins. I'm just saying it could
True.
happen, and it might be
Well,
like,
and then they have Triple Threat Survivor Series on for the title.
then that makes sense.
That would make okay.
That'd make more sense in the end.
Yes,
So
that's what will probably happen. They'll probably have Triple Threat.
if that
and
happens,
then,
that's
and
the route
then
they'd
Jericho
have to
will put over Owens,
he'll take the pin, obviously. Yeah.
and Jericho will leave.
Yeah.
Because
If that's what they do-
Fozzy going back on tour.
If that's what they do, then that's how it would have to go down, triple threat or something,
Mhm.
probably. I can't really see much else, but either
Yeah.
way.
So that's
Kevin Owens.
that's what's going to happen.
Either way, I'm gonna have Kevin Owens though. In the end, though, I have Kevin Owens. In the end,
All right, yeah,
all right, Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
You're on that.
I'm on that.
All right.
I'm on the Kevin Owens show right now.
And finally, we have Sasha versus Charlotte for like the 7,000th time. Inside Hell in a Cell, though, first time women in Hell in a Cell match in WWE history.
Real exciting, isn't
For the
it?
title, this is another foregone conclusion for me. It's Sasha Banks going to win.
Mm-hmm.
She just won it. It's in her hometown, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
She should be winning the title from Charlotte here in
Yeah.
her hometown.
Yep.
She shouldn't have won it on Raw. It doesn't make any sense. She's the face of the women's division,
Yeah.
essentially. How is she not going to win this match? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
I agree. It's true.
They can't just keep swapping the title back and forth, you know.
And
It's
they'll
just going to devalue the title.
Exactly. And
Which it
then
already
they'll-
has a little bit. And people will get less interested in it. Like, I already am. I'm
Yeah.
interested in the women's division. I'm interested with Raw in general.
Yeah,
Actually,
I agree with you.
I'm more of a SmackDown guy.
Well, right now, yeah.
The shorter amount of time that it's on, the 2 hours versus 3 hours is what really pushes it over the edge for me.
Mhm.
SmackDown's just more digestible, honestly, because you don't have all those like gaps where there's just BS going on. But nevertheless, it should be a good match though.
And you have Michael Cole announcing too.
That is
so.
a problem.
Yeah.
But Michael and Byron Saxton.
Yeah, Corey Graves is the only good one.
Yeah. SmackDown, you just have a Tunga. Who
Yeah.
has more enthusiasm than Byron Saxton ever does. He sounds like he has more enthusiasm. Those two are almost equivalent.
Well,
Saxton and
well,
Tunga.
you know why.
Well, for obvious reasons. But nevertheless, it should be a good match, obviously. They both worked with each other so many times.
It should.
They put on good matches for how long now? And I know that Charlotte's planning on doing something crazy, she's thinking. She wants to do something crazy.
She's
as
probably
hell.
going to do something off the side.
She's going to do something
Or in
crazy
the,
as hell.
like in the cell.
'Cause-
Do like her move that she does, like off the
Yeah.
from the corner. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so I'm interested in the match as a whole, as a match, but I'm not so much in the storyline. I'm not so much in the actual outcome.
Well,
'cause I think
because
the outcomes,
Sasha wins, then Sasha faces Bayley at WrestleMania. It's
it
you
seems
know.
predictable.
Yeah.
It's predictable. It's almost like they're doing NXT all over again. Because that's how it was.
because
Charlotte was the
They
champ.
know a lot of people watch NXT.
Because Charlotte was the champ, then Sasha
Yeah.
was the champ. Becky was in the
And then
middle there,
Bayley.
but Becky was in the middle there for a little bit, and then it was Bayley,
Yeah.
and then
Well,
they're
Becky
just playing it out again.
Becky was never champ though down there.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I meant. She was like in the middle
Yeah.
as a contender, obviously. But then that's how it went in NXT. So it feels like it's a rehash of NXT, which is kind
It's
of
true.
lazy. It's lazy. You know, they're just doing the same
It's
storyline.
true though.
That's what it feels like because it's the same contenders in the same order,
Yep.
so to speak. So it's lazy to me. This is a foregone conclusion. This match, I'm not excited. I'm just excited about the match itself. What the action is going to be like. I mean, that's about it for this
Yeah.
match at least. And 3 Hell in a Cell matches. That's too much. I mean,
Yeah, but that's how they.
the pay per view is called Hell in a Cell.
That's how they
but-
build it more because
The pay per view is called Hell in a Cell.
that's how they
but-
build it more because it's only for Raw.
Yeah,
So
and the fact that they don't have enough people to have like a really strong card, which is why so many Hell in a Cell matches, they'll go longer. Which is why there's only 6 matches. I found that confusing, but 3 Hell in a Cell matches, they're all going to go for a while because it's Hell in a Cell. You know, an extreme match like that, they always go longer than usual. So, nevertheless, that's what I got for that. So,
Yeah.
Sasha Banks.
yeah, Sasha as well.
The only other question is which one's going to be the last match on. It's been said that Sasha Charlotte might be,
No,
or might be. It's either Seth and KO, or
they're gonna have Seth and Kevin Owens.
but they're calling it a triple main event. I don't know why we got the fucking rope Reigns in the main event here. We've had enough of that.
Yeah.
Now he's getting looped into another main event. Either way. All right. That wraps that up. So time to go to the question of the week this week. And it revolves around the NBA season that just kicked off last night, Tuesday night, as unexpectedly, the Golden State Warriors lost their season opener at home to the San Antonio Spurs by 29 points.
At home.
At home, 29 points to the San Antonio Spurs, 129 to 100. So the question is, well, this could have been a question at any time. Could have been a question last week. Could have been a question when the move happened. But like Durant being on the Warriors, are the Warriors going to be better or worse this season, like in comparison to last season?
Well, they even said they don't want to win 73 games this year.
Well, maybe not like that. Maybe not record wise, but like as a team as a whole. I mean,
Well, adding
record wise, no way.
adding Kevin Durant to Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, who's overrated. They could be. I mean, Kawhi went off last night at 35, right?
35
Yes.
and 5 steals.
So it's just one game. So Warriors fans, calm down. Still got 81 more games.
Yeah.
They'll be fine. Right now, I think they'll be about the same. You know, Kevin Durant's he'll put him over the edge in some games. You know, if it's coming down to the wire, especially with Steph Curry too. So
Yeah.
you know, to squeak out the win. So I think they'll be about the same. They might be a little better, might be a little worse here and there, but every team has their dry spells. Every team has their winning streaks. So, and that's like that for any sport.
Yeah. If they have performances like they did last night, they will be worse than last season as a team as a whole, because they didn't play any defense last night, especially on the interior.
That's the whole NBA.
On the interior, though, is the problem because they don't have any big guys. Because bringing in Durant, they had to get rid of their big guys. They lost Bogut to Dallas. They lost Ezeli to
Harrison Barnes as well.
Harrison Barnes to Dallas, who Durant's an upgrade for that, though, but
He's an upgrade for all three of those.
But they lost him, and they lost Spates as well, who wasn't exactly rim protector type guy, but they're very weak down low, because now their centers are Zaza Pachulia, JaVale McGee, and Anderson Varejao, who all of which are not exactly anywhere near elite, anywhere near probably on the good radar at all. McGee's the only one that can really protect the rim. That's only because he's super athletic and has long ass arms. But they don't have any rim protection. That's going to hurt them against teams like the Spurs, who have Gasol and Aldridge. Teams like the Timberwolves.
Yeah, we talked last week and week before. You know, the Spurs have a big 4, big 5.
But like teams like
all
the Timberwolves with Karl Anthony Towns, who's only going to get better, and he did well against them last season with Bogut on the team, who is a good defensive player. Teams like even the Clippers with Jordan and Griffin, like they're going to have a hard time guarding teams that have good big men, and Grizzlies too. Grizzlies, because that's kind of been a part of their identity with Gasol and Randolph rather. So they're gonna have a hard time against guys like that. And the other problem is Klay Thompson. He's, at least last night, I don't know how it's going to play out. Of course, it's just one game, but he was definitely the third option last night. You could see it if you watched it at all. You could see that he was kind of tentative to shoot sometimes, and sometimes he shot too much because he wasn't sure whether he was going to get
the ball,
get his number called again.
Yeah,
because
which
he has
I
to play.
which I don't blame for that.
hell, if you're Klay Thompson, this team could be disbanded within a year or so. And whenever Klay Thompson, he could leave easily because he's a superstar. I said it last week. He can be a superstar on any damn team pretty much. That doesn't have LeBron James or someone, So, and he's a better basketball player than Stephen Curry though, as a whole. For me.
Steph just shoots.
I like Klay Thompson better than Steph Curry anyway because he's more of an all-around basketball player. He plays defense. He better from mid-range. He's just as good from three than Steph. He plays better defense than Steph, on the ball at least. Steph can get steals. James Harden gets steals too, and he doesn't play defense for shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as the question as a whole, right now, they're definitely looking worse. They already started off worse. They already have a loss.
The thing is, it's only one game, so...
That's the problem with this kind of question, People brought it up all of today. Like, what's the problem? They're bringing this question up because they lost by 29 at home in a game they were favored by 8 points.
What if Kawhi doesn't play? They, lose by 6, but, that's 6
Kawhi
points.
had 35 because he got to the lane so much and was fouled so much.
But
he went 15 of 15 from the line.
But that 6 points, that can be made up. That's 2 threes, it's 3 twos, it's some, foul shots. They could have won that game if they would have been able to stop Kawhi, but they didn't.
They couldn't because he just got to the lane whenever he wanted.
Yeah.
And he's realizing now that he has to play like a superstar because no Duncan. He's realizing he has to become the team leader, which is definitely what he's being.
Yeah.
And he showed signs of that last night, kind of that killer instinct, assassin like, just pulling up in a guy's face, knocking one down late in the game to kind of ice it for him, So that's the Spurs, but we're talking about the Warriors, but still.
Hey. Still basketball.
At this time, they're looking worse.
It's good. Basketball is back, but
But again, we have to look at recent history.
It's not time to watch it.
Yeah, we have to look at recent history though too, because this same type of thing happened when LeBron and Chris Bosh went to Miami.
Yeah,
they lost their first game of the season. I remember it. They lost to the Celtics the first game of the season that year. They started the year 9-8. Then they made the NBA Finals, but of course they lost that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't think they're going to be better this year. I don't have them in the finals. I think that the lack of chemistry with Durant coming in, the problems that it provides, the power shift that it does with them. Yeah. Now he just kind of inserts himself as the 2 or even the 1 guy at times, the top guy. So it's going to be a problem then. My biggest problem is the defensive end, down low specifically. So I don't know. This is another question that you can probably come back to about 40 games into the season and then see. And then maybe it'll be more accurate. Maybe you'll get a better feel for it because early on like this, first game with Durant coming in, who knows?
Yeah.
So that's something to look out for going on and throughout the season. And with that, we're going to wrap it up for this week here on Across the Goal Line. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ATGL16. All those links available in the description of this video. Answer the question of the week on Facebook or Twitter by voting in our poll. And you can follow Luke at CoinLuke96 and me at CAMains14 on Twitter as well. Also, don't forget to buy our merch, which you can contact us about using all of those social media platforms or emailing us at acrossthegoalline2016@gmail.com. And for Luke Goddard, I'm Corey Mains, and we will see you on the next edition of Across the Goal Line, live from the field.